Because in either game, life or football, the margin for error is so small. I mean, one half a step too late or too early, and you don't quite make it. One half second too slow, too fast, you don't quite catch it. The inches we need are everywhere around us.
Hell yeah.
They're in every break of the game, every minute, every second.
Hey everybody! All right, let's talk about some things. There's current events, there's life, and then there are problems and our not so problems. And I think we will be surprised how much most of our problems are manufactured by us. By us thinking we're so smart, we got it all figured out, and if things don't happen the way we plan, damn it, there's a problem. I try to drill, and again, I am where I am at. I'm a believer, and I believe all the things that they are the essentials in the Bible, and one of them is God says, "Don't worry, do not worry." 95% of the things you're going to worry about will never come to fruition anyway, and then the stuff that is going to come to fruition, worrying is not going to help. It's actually going to put yourself at a disadvantage, because when the thing comes, you'd be surprised if let's say somebody's going to give you some bad news, and you come up, they come up to you, and you're kind of staring at your shoes, and you have that down attitude, poor me attitude. They may say, "All right, you're worth stepping on." But if you look them square in the eye and say, "Hey, I'm happy, I'm good, what's your problem?" Type of attitude, they may back down, and you may shave even more of your problems off. And what is it? Dale Carnegie says that the hospital is full, and half of the people are there because of worry. And we worry about current events. There's you worry about Russia and Trump, and oh my gosh, nuclear war. And the cool thing about getting older is you get smarter, and not because any one person is a genius. It's just we've seen it before. I remember, I think it was Yeltsin, when he would get drunk and say, "Yeah, I'm going to XYZ involving nuclear weapons," and with the George Bush the first, and back then when I was in my 20s, I remember thinking, "Oh gosh, this is real. This is a real Russian president talking about real nuclear weapons in his drunk tirade," and nothing happened. And wow. And I'm sure before that it was Gorbachev. You got what's it after Stalin is Khrushchev. I'm sure he threatened the whole beginning of the Cold War, and the people that were around then, our baby boomers, would say, nothing happened. We'd get under our desks at school for our nuclear training, in case there's a nuclear bomb, get under your desks, and very effective, by the way, I'm sure, and nothing happened. So it's we learn, okay, live life. We could focus on these things. Sure, technically, it's possible, that these things can happen. But if we live our life according to possibilities, I mean, don't go in the ocean because there's great whites. Don't send your kid to school because of the things that could happen there. And again, Prager always says is look at the probability, not the possibility. And what's nice too is now you could focus on life. when you're not worried about certain things. And the other day I tried. Okay, I'm not going to worry. God says don't worry. And one of my jobs I was going to, we had to bring a trailer, and there's never any parking. And okay, you're worried about that. But I'm like, no, I'm not going to worry. Of course, I get there, no parking. And find out all these cars moved right before I got there. And, say, okay, that was something I was going to worry about, and look at it, worked out. And even if the cars didn't move, that's not a proof one way or the other, unless it keeps on happening, then like I said earlier, it's sometimes you see the effects of your beliefs, and if you see enough of them, that in itself is an evidence, of what you believe. But you can't use that to convince other people, because that's your personal thing. Try as we might. And then I worry about if I'm working on an issue and the city has codes, and then especially if I'm in a city like Laguna that's very strict, with their environmental policies, and I mean over the top to where you cannot run a functioning business if you were to be 100% compliant. Try as we might, but Lord help us. So anyway, just don't worry. And then when it happens, I think we'll have the strength to deal with it. As long as we're focused on what we're supposed to, and not worrying about everything. And you get the pit of your stomach starts turning, and we're ineffective too, because we're not focused now. One thing I notice about anybody that's very effective is very focused. You look at I remember Mark McGuire back in the day for the home run race. He would focus like nobody's business. You just see his eyes, just like a dog right before you throw a ball. And just they got one thing on their mind, and the focus on that pitch is why he had the home run record. Believe it or not, it wasn't steroids. It was the fact that he did one of the hardest things in sports, round ball with a round bat. And, to connect the two, it's not easy, I'm sure. So I've heard. Anyway, that's what Jim Rome used to say anyway. Not being focused, you're worried, you're going to be ineffective. And, so when we hear about things, I think, it is, you do tend to worry because it's exciting too a little bit, and you're telling somebody else about the scenario. But I think you could talk about the scenario just like water cooler talk, but when it starts to affect you and your actions, you're doing a disadvantage. And I'm telling you, if you could, sure, be observant and be aware of these things, that's called being involved in life. But if you could then get back to your daily routine that is going to affect you, you're going to be a lot better off. You're going to be happier, and life is going to be a lot more exciting. Because the other thing that happens too is you're always looking for something to worry about. And because there is always something. That's just the way the news cycle is. I bet you we could probably come up, if we did some research, come up with 10 different I don't like to do research, because once I start doing research, then that's all I got to do is research, and I don't have time. But so I've just done enough, and I just listen to smart people, and works. I think we're well-rounded. But anyway, then you can come up with so many, and by the way, I'm kidding, everybody. I do a little bit of research, so you don't have to. Everybody does their part in scaring the world, because if you shock somebody, guess what? You just got somebody's attention. And in a world of oversaturation, it's all about grabbing people's attention. When somebody's shocked, they say their mouth drops, and they go, and they just freeze, and that's your body saying, hey, something just happened that surprised me. I don't like being surprised. How come I didn't see this coming? So you're not doing anything else. You're so focused on what happened to learn for next time. It's probably a survival instinct, I'm sure. that we're designed with, and or random chance, whatever you believe. The thing about that is marketers love that, because they're like, oh, we found a way for you to listen. We can cut through all the chatter, have you listen by shocking you and surprising you. So, that every time you're watching a commercial and something unexpected happens, the marketers got you. You're listening. And, the news is the same thing. What do they say? They spend 80% of their efforts on the headlines. They start with the lead and go down from there, but the headline is just even more important, because it draws you in. By the way, back in was it Civil War, when they had that everything was through the telegram? They had a reporter and or reporters. They would put the most important stories first, due to the fact that at any point, you're in war and something can happen and your telegram could be cut off. So when they're reporting to their newspapers, they'd put the lead first. And if something happens, hey, at least the most important things went out. And then eventually, as people were writing, always trying to put the lead first, sometimes people didn't know what the lead was, and that's where the term bury the lead comes from. Is you find in the middle of the paragraph, hey, no, this is the most important thing, and it's the lead. It should have been at top, but it wasn't. In any event, it's used now just for shock more than anything else, and I try to do that too with the food company. It's when we sit around and we're just designing Facebook ads, and that was the one thing I brought to the table was, hey, we do need to not have ads that are just vanilla, because people are in social media. Let's face it, it's called social media because people are socializing, and if you're just going to have a nice picture of a guy in a suit, drinking a cup of coffee, you're going to get scrolled right past. We were even toying around with putting Kim Jong-un bad and our sugar good, just to get raise people's eyebrows, and click on us. But without that shock value, good luck. We try not to have it, like shock jockey, where it's just shocking for the sake of being shocking. We do want to tie into sugar, but one thing with advertising, I tell everybody to say, look, let's say somebody had a gun to your head and they said, okay, you're going to have one advertisement, and if it's not effective, I'm pulling the trigger. And when you think like that, you think, if literally I only had one shot at this, maybe I should shock people, get people's attention, do something as crazy as, I'm going to use ISIS in there, and I'm going to say they're bad, but your brain will start to think like that. I mean, not just we're using this analogy, but if that was real, let's say your life really did depend on it, you would start to think down that road. So I'm not saying go down that road where you're offensive, but you need to think in that genre of I gotta get outside the box. And I say this in advertising, but you could use it in other situations. You're trying to pitch an idea to a spouse, even, you gotta, or somebody. Just you need to do your best, and you got to do what is effective. And sometimes we just say things because we don't want to offend anybody. We don't be polite, but as long as you're not trying to offend anybody, they have a right to be offended. It just and you could say something to be funny as long as you're not doing it to be mean, and that's life, because you take funny and these kind of substances out of life, and then guess what? You have a horrible movie, and I think that's what our lives are sometimes, in a lot of aspects. So here we're worried about all these things, but I do love current events. I think they're the spice of life, and it puts us all in the world is so big.